This is called Nothing is Going On, and it could be fun. We read that great meditators like Tibet's Jetsun Milarepa, the great yogi, spent many years in solitary retreat. And what on earth goes on in such a meditation retreat? What does one do there? It's unfortunate that in the English language we have about one word for meditation, which is, of course, meditation, while the Tibetans have scores of words to describe different meditative states. And to make things worse, the popular connotation of meditation in English is that it's about contemplating something. Like, I'm going to meditate on world peace. And when what we mean is we're going to kind of noodle on a thought. That's not what is meant here by meditation. Meditation in Tibetan Buddhism, at least in the more advanced practices, includes that, but focuses more on what is called non-dual, or direct meditation on the mind itself. We may not be able to do that yet, but we should at least know something about it, because it's our future. Because there's no back door. At a certain point in Dharma training, the traditional advice of meditators is to seek solitude, not so much as a need to be alone, as it is a need to concentrate on letting go. And that, I know, sounds like an oxymoron. Try to let go. The way I remind myself of this is to say that meditation is about letting things go, as in letting things go on, because they're already going on. It's not as if I could stop them if I tried. So it's more about me allowing the mind to naturally settle out as it already is. I'm the one that has to make the judgment. When we get to the stage of solitary meditation, we can already concentrate well enough, but becoming absolutely still, as in letting things finally settle out, was never before seen as a primary concern in itself, and then suddenly it is. And the natural response to the onset of this condition is to need all the quiet we can find, not in order to do anything or even think about something, but in fact to do nothing at all and simply rest in not thinking. As the great teacher Sharipa said, look, but do not look at anything. Meditate, but do not meditate on anything. Perhaps it's as simple as finally learning to be and to be still, and beginning to seek stillness for its own sake, or to see in our just doing nothing something of lasting value. So in short, we find that advanced meditators don't meditate on anything. That would be dualistic. Instead, they meditate on nothing at all. And they don't even meditate on nothing, as in meditate on emptiness, because that still would be something. So nothing is even something. So they just meditate. That's what they do. And the traditional texts say very clearly, do not meditate. And at that point, non-meditation is meditation. Everything that demands our attention is an interruption from just doing nothing, from letting things just be as they are. So nothing, quote unquote, is going on here, and that nothing requires our complete attention. Or as the Buddhists say, unwavering attention. We can be quite busy doing nothing. In other words, doing nothing does not interrupt anything, but doing something may have interrupted nothing. And nothing is not anything. It's not even nothing. In other words, doing nothing can be interrupted by something, which is not even anything in itself. You get the idea, or are these words too crazy for you? In which case I apologize. Meditation always has to stop just short of being something. In other words, we don't meditate on anything, which does not mean that we meditate on nothing or on emptiness, because even nothing is still something. I just said that above. Meditation, then, is not meditation on anything. That's why it's sometimes called non-meditation. And it takes time to go through this learning process. And everything else, by definition, is a distraction. I find myself being impatient with everyone and everything, but not in an impatient way. It's more like waiting for the interruptions to cease or die down so that I can get back to doing nothing once again. I'm perhaps listening to you, but at the same time, I'm monitoring nothing. Eventually, perhaps I will be able to talk with you and do nothing at the same time. Here's hoping. You know, the old saying, if Muhammad does not come to the mountain must come to Muhammad. If we don't naturally seek the solitude of meditation, sooner or later it seeks us out, and it overcomes us in the middle of whatever we are about, usually doing something. Just as all roads lead to Rome, all meditation eventually leads to what's called non-meditation. We just end up there, no matter which way we go, east, south, north, or west. And it comes in on us just like the tide comes in, slowly but surely. We gradually wake up to the fact that we have stopped meditating on something and have begun to meditate on nothing at all. Thus we have entered the state of non-meditation. Why? Because meditation on something is ultimately just another obscuration. We have to stabilize the practice of non-meditation. And non-meditation, while not requiring or allowing effort, does require time, and lots of it. We can read a lot about transmigration. It's a somewhat mysterious term that usually describes how we can get from one life to our next rebirth, transmigrate. But that's not the only way that this term can be used. We can also transmigrate within this lifetime through re-identification. That means transferring our identity from one view to an alternate view. In Tibetan Buddhism, the transfer from dualistic fixation to non-dualistic identification, which I'm examining here, is something that happens in the natural process of meditation training, perhaps deliberately at first, and then later by learning to let go quite effortlessly. And it's a one-way street. We have to learn to deconstruct our deep-seated habit of reifying and interpreting everything dualistically. And we need to begin to acquire the habit of direct realization, which is non-dualistic. And this process is usually grounded. What I meant to say is this process is usually gradual and proceeds at its own pace. But as mentioned, it does take time. And there's no sharp line of division between these two views or states of mind. They coexist together, one superimposed on the other, not unlike how dreams can assert themselves into reality for a time after we start to wake up. Or it's like waiting for this fake snow in those little snow globes to settle out once they're shaken. Nothing, quote unquote, cannot happen until everything is at rest with us. Only then can nothing happen, if that makes any sense. Perhaps a poem I wrote years ago says it better. And this is a little poem called Meditation is Nothing. And it goes like this. The books say, seek a place of solitude and meditate, but it's just the other way round. When meditation naturally occurs, there is no place in the world that you feel comfortable, try as you might. Not here or there, not doing this or doing that, only nothing feels right. You just want to hold real still, let the mind rest, and then park yourself somewhere out of the way, like on a cushion or in a place of solitude, because nothing is going on.